Okay, so far we have set a bunch of these variables to the central import settings. Now, we are going to skip over this section here, and we'll talk about this in just a minute. Ignore that for the moment. We're going to go and get the CSV array. And what that does is that actually goes, this subroutine, which we're not going to go into, we'll go into later, but I want to give you the big picture by just going over the high points and the major sections, and then we can drill into some of those in a minute. But what this does is this actually goes and instructs the Salesforce servers in Florida to make a HTTP call out to our servers here in California, which are exposing the CSV files. And then I instruct the Florida Salesforce box to pull the appropriate CSV file from California to Florida, chop up the incoming file into an array, and then it returns up here. So basically that's what this does. When this routine's done, we've got the whole file chopped up into an array that we can now play with. Okay. Now, the next system, in order to explain this, I got to sort of go back and explain what was going on up here. Here's the problem. Sometimes the files that we get in will be 100 lines long. The CSV files coming from California will be 100 lines long. And the problem is that Salesforce may only have the ability to process 25 lines per byte. Salesforce has a lot of limitations as to how much it can digest in one byte. It limits you to, I think, to a certain number of SQL calls, to a certain number of DML calls, which are importing and exporting things into and out of the contacts objects and so forth. It has limitations on the number of lines of code you can run, etc., etc., etc. So the problem is I very rapidly ran into my limits on these. So what this does is whenever I pull data in whenever I get data and I push it into someone's contact, or I create a new contact in Salesforce, I leave a cookie trail for myself, and I say what file it came in on, which is this one, and I say what row number it was, so that if I do only 25 and then I have to start again, I can go query the contacts object and find out what the highest row number I did last time was, and then I start with the next one after that and keep going for another 25, and then I quit. Then I have to come back in and say, okay, again, what was the highest number I got to? Oh, 50? Okay, fine, I'll start at 51 and go do another 25. It's clumsy, but it was the only way to work around the fact that you can't process a whole file, and there's nowhere else to really record a clue for the system when it comes back alive as to how far it got. So this is how I do it. Okay. I don't recommend it, but I couldn't think of a better way. Anyway, so what this does is this routine says get start stop numbers, get start. So this runs out and finds out what the highest number we were able to get to on the last time we ran the program. So that's what the get start numbers is.